The late 19th century was a time of great change. European powers, driven by industrial might and imperial ambition, carved up Africa and Asia. The United States, having recently finished its own westward expansion, looked outward. America sought new markets and a place on the world stage. This ambition brought it into increasing contact with Spain, an aging empire clinging to its remaining colonies. Cuba, a jewel of the Caribbean, was one such colony. Cubans yearned for freedom, rising in rebellion against Spanish rule. Their struggle captured the attention of the American people. Newspapers, fueled by sensationalism and the yellow journalism of the time, portrayed Spanish atrocities in vivid detail. Public opinion, swayed by these accounts, increasingly favored intervention. Meanwhile, the United States had its own interests in Cuba. American businesses had invested heavily in Cuban sugar plantations. The island's strategic location, guarding the entrance to the Gulf of Mexico, also held immense strategic value. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation. The world watched as tensions between the United States and Spain escalated, a powder keg waiting for a spark. Cuba's struggle for independence from Spain had been simmering for years, a slow burn of discontent and desire for freedom that could not be easily extinguished. The island's people chafed under Spanish rule, yearning for self-determination and the right to govern themselves without foreign interference. In 1895, Cuban patriots, led by the visionary José Martí, launched a new revolution. Martí, a poet and nationalist, became a symbol of the Cuban struggle. They aimed to overthrow Spanish authority and establish an independent Cuban republic, a dream that had been deferred for far too long. The United States, with its growing economic and strategic interests in the region, watched the unfolding events with concern, recognizing the potential impact on its own sphere of influence. Public sentiment, inflamed by sensationalized newspaper accounts of Spanish brutality, tilted towards intervention. The press, often referred to as the Yellow Press, played a crucial role in shaping public opinion. In this charged atmosphere, the USS Maine, an American battleship, steamed into Havana Harbor in January 1898. Its presence was a clear signal of American interest and concern. The Maine's mission was ostensibly peaceful, a show of force meant to protect American interests and citizens in Cuba amidst the growing unrest. However, on the night of February 15th, a devastating explosion ripped through the ship, shattering the calm and sending shockwaves through both nations. The Maine sank quickly, taking the lives of 266 American sailors. The tragedy struck a deep chord in the American public. The cause of the explosion remained a mystery, with theories ranging from an internal accident to an external attack. Despite the lack of clear evidence, American newspapers, eager for a sensational story, blamed Spain. The headlines screamed for retribution and justice. "Remember the Maine, to hell with Spain," became a rallying cry, echoing through the streets and galvanizing public opinion. Public outrage reached fever pitch, pushing the United States closer to war. The clamor for action grew louder with each passing day. President William McKinley, facing immense pressure from both the public and political figures, hesitated but ultimately bowed to the wave of public sentiment, setting the stage for the Spanish-American War. While Cuba was the focal point of tensions, the first major engagement of the Spanish-American War took place on the other side of the world, in a region that many Americans knew little about at the time. The Philippines, another Spanish colony, became an unexpected theater of war. This archipelago, rich in resources and strategically located, suddenly found itself at the center of a global conflict. Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Theodore Roosevelt, a staunch advocate for war with Spain, had quietly positioned the U.S. Asiatic Squadron under Commodore George Dewey in Hong Kong. Roosevelt's foresight and strategic planning would soon prove crucial. As war became inevitable, Roosevelt, acting without direct presidential authorization, cabled Dewey with orders to attack the Spanish fleet at Manila Bay. This bold move was a gamble, but one that Roosevelt believed was necessary to secure a swift victory. On May 1st, 1898, Dewey's squadron, led by the powerful battleship USS Olympia, steamed into Manila Bay. The tension was palpable as the American ships navigated the waters under the cover of darkness, preparing for a dawn assault. They caught the Spanish fleet by surprise. unleashing a devastating barrage of naval gunfire. The Spanish ships, unprepared and outgunned, were quickly overwhelmed by the superior firepower and tactics of Dewey's squadron. The Battle of Manila Bay was a stunning victory for the United States. The American sailors, buoyed by their success, celebrated their triumph as the US flag was raised over Manila Bay, signaling a new era in naval warfare. Dewey's squadron destroyed the Spanish fleet, silencing Spanish shore batteries and effectively crippling Spain's ability to defend its prized colony. The destruction was so complete that it left the Spanish forces in disarray, unable to mount any significant resistance. This decisive victory had far-reaching consequences. It not only boosted American morale, but also demonstrated the effectiveness of modern naval strategies and technologies. It thrust the United States onto the world stage as a nascent naval power. The success at Manila Bay showcased America's growing military capabilities and its willingness to project power far beyond its shores. The Battle of Manila Bay also signaled the beginning of the end for Spain's colonial empire. The loss of the Philippines was a significant blow to Spanish prestige and influence, marking the decline of their once vast empire. The victory had a profound impact on the course of the war, paving the way for a US land invasion of the Philippines and eventually leading to American control of the archipelago. This marked the start of a new chapter in Philippine history, one that would see the island's transition from Spanish to American rule, forever altering the region's political and cultural landscape. Section 4. The Rough Riders Charge, Cuba and the Battle for San Juan Hill. The focus of the war shifted back to the Caribbean, where the US Army prepared for an invasion of Cuba. This marked a significant escalation in the conflict, as American forces aimed to strike a decisive blow against Spanish colonial rule in the region. The strategic importance of Cuba, with its proximity to the United States and its role as a key Spanish stronghold, made it a prime target for American military efforts. Among the units mobilized was the 1st US Volunteer Cavalry, a colorful regiment that captured the public imagination. This unit, better known as the Rough Riders, was composed of a unique mix of individuals from various walks of life. Their diverse backgrounds and shared sense of adventure made them a symbol of American spirit and determination. Led by Colonel Leonard Wood, with Theodore Roosevelt as second in command, the regiment became known as the Rough Riders. Roosevelt, who would later become the 26th President of the United States, was instrumental in shaping the regiment's identity and morale. His leadership and charisma played a crucial role in rallying the troops and preparing them for the challenges ahead. The Rough Riders, a diverse group comprising cowboys, Ivy League athletes and Native American scouts, landed in Cuba in June 1898. Their arrival was a significant moment in the campaign, as it marked the beginning of a series of intense and grueling battles. The Rough Riders' unique composition and fighting spirit would soon be put to the test in the Cuban terrain. They were part of a larger American force tasked with capturing the strategically important city of Santiago de Cuba. This city was a vital objective due to its harbor, which was a key naval base for the Spanish fleet. Capturing Santiago de Cuba would not only cripple Spanish naval capabilities, but also provide a crucial foothold for further American operations on the island. The Battle of San Juan Hill, fought on July 1, 1898, became the most famous engagement of the Cuban campaign. This battle was a pivotal moment in the war, showcasing the bravery and tenacity of American forces. The Rough Riders, along with other units, faced daunting odds as they advanced against well-fortified Spanish positions. The Rough Riders, along with other US Army and Buffalo Soldier regiments, faced fierce resistance from entrenched Spanish defenders. The Spanish forces, well prepared and deeply entrenched, utilized the rugged terrain to their advantage, making the American advance particularly challenging. Despite this, the determination and courage of the American soldiers shone through. The battle raged throughout the hot, humid day. The oppressive heat and difficult terrain added to the hardships faced by the soldiers. Yet, they pressed on, driven by a sense of duty and the desire to achieve a decisive victory. The relentless combat tested their endurance and resolve to the utmost. Roosevelt, eager to prove himself in combat, led a dramatic charge up Kettle Hill, a strategic position adjacent to San Juan Hill. His bold leadership and personal bravery inspired his men and became a defining moment of the battle. The charge up Kettle Hill was not only a tactical maneuver, but also a symbol of American resolve and heroism. The American forces, bolstered by the bravery of the Rough Riders and other units, secured victory at San Juan Hill. This victory was a testament to the combined efforts and sacrifices of all the units involved. The triumph at San Juan Hill boosted American morale and demonstrated the effectiveness of their military strategy. The battle, though costly in terms of casualties, marked a turning point in the war. The heavy losses underscored the brutal nature of the conflict, but the victory also highlighted the resilience and fighting spirit of the American forces. The aftermath of the battle saw both sides grappling with the human cost of the engagement. It paved the way for the eventual siege and capture of Santiago de Cuba, dealing a severe blow to Spanish forces on the island. The fall of Santiago de Cuba was a critical moment in the war, signaling the decline of Spanish power in the Caribbean. The successful siege further solidified American dominance and set the stage for the eventual end of the conflict. Section 5, a two-front war naval campaigns and the capture of Manila. The Spanish-American War was fought on two main fronts, the Caribbean and the Pacific. While the Rough Riders made their mark in Cuba, the U.S. Navy continued its campaign in the Philippines. Following the decisive victory at Manila Bay, American forces laid siege to the city of Manila. Admiral Dewey, wary of a protracted siege and concerned about the intentions of Filipino revolutionaries who were also fighting for independence from Spain, devised a plan to capture the city with minimal bloodshed. He negotiated a secret agreement with the Spanish Governor-General. On August 13, 1898, American forces, supported by Filipino revolutionaries, staged a coordinated attack on Manila. The Spanish, as per the pre-arranged agreement, offered token resistance. The city fell to the Americans, effectively ending Spanish rule in the Philippines. The capture of Manila, coupled with the ongoing victories in Cuba, demonstrated the growing might of the United States. The war, once viewed with uncertainty by some, had transformed into a showcase of American military power. The United States, it seemed, was poised to become a major player on the world stage.